Hey, this is Bryce Harper, and welcome to the Phillies Show.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Phillies Show with Ruben Amaro Jr., Jim Salisbury, Todd Zolecki, brought to you by Foul Territory. It is Tuesday, September 24th, 2024. This is a very special episode of the Phillies Show because we're getting together just mere hours after we finished our work days to talk about the Phillies winning the 2024 NL East Championship. We were all on clocked in last night and watching the Phillies clinch. Where Jim and I were in the clubhouse. Jim, Ruben, you were working in the studio at NBC. Always a fun night, always a crazy night. I came home last night with the stench of cigar smoke baked into my clothes. Avoided most of the champagne and beer. Jim, did you avoid most of it? I feel like you came out of it pretty clean.
Yeah, I came out of it pretty clean, though my throat is on fire from all that cigar smoke. And I did catch some beer and champagne shrapnel. And then I'm at 322 at that light at Route 1 and 322. And a state cop pulls up right next to me. And I'm like, if he comes over to this car and smells all this champagne and stuff, I'm in big trouble. But it was a fantastic.
Wait a minute. You guys didn't partake at all?
No, I'm a veteran, man. I stay off to the sides. I'm really good at getting out of the way, but you do catch a few strays.
Yeah, you get some strays for sure, but I also like to stay out of the way as much as
back one year. I think back in 2007 when you guys finally won the division, Utley got me bad, and after that, I've been pretty good staying on the periphery.
You know that's a sign of respect, right?
Well,
it can be.
He got me, and. But that was a very memorable champagne celebration, as was last night. I thought last night was a little smaller than some of their, this was their 8th one in the last 2 years. And I thought it was a little smaller. And I thought that symbolically was a great thing because it told you that, they got bigger plans for their baseball and their bubbly.
And what's interesting about the last out, they didn't go crazy. They got on the field. They congratulate each other, gave each other some love. I thought that that sort of made me start thinking about how important it is to them that they've got more ways to go. They've got a longer ways to go. There's a goal that, and it's not just lip service. I mean, they're not just there just to be there. They're there to try to win it. And that's really cool. I was also taken aback in a positive way about when the families came back onto the field and they were all together. And, I had the advantage of being able to see some of that footage, all the young families and wives, and they were kissing on each other and they were loving on each other and they were all out on the field like as a family. And there was that whole symbol of, family and togetherness. I made the point last night, and I'll make it again, that it's very rare that you have a team that is basically a team of mercenaries, guys who came from the other organizations, either as a free agent or as a trade piece, that have gotten together and been this close. It doesn't happen very often. You have Stott, Bohm, Suarez, Nola, they're homegrown guys. Beyond that, I mean, I'm sure I'm missing a few guys. Kirkering, Rojas. Yeah. And I think, but like really the core guys are from outside the organization and really sort of started with Harper coming. And I mean, well, JT, I think was before Harper, but then it was Harper and then bang, bang, bang. I mean, you ended up, bringing in some of these guys that ended up, the Schwarbers and the Castellanos of the world that came in and that's really been their core, which is, and for them to be that bonded and that together is a rarity. And it's pretty special. It's a pretty good job by Dave Dombrowski and others to get that thing done.
And that's why it was cool last night that Nola was on the mound for the clincher, because he's been through all the crap that they've been through since Ruben, you drafted him many years ago. To see him get on that mound and clinch that one, first division title since 2011. Really nobody else more fitting. I mean, it would have been Zach Wheeler, all those guys. Any guy would have been great to see, but really for him, because he has been through. I mean, when they were so bad for so long, and it just looked like a rudderless ship at times, as we know, because we were there, and from far and from up close, you can see it. To see him go out there, and I think he really is somebody who appreciated, and he expressed that appreciation last night, Jim. Right? I mean, he
Aaron Nola is a class act who
100%
always says the right thing. He tipped his hat to the organization, the fans, and most of all his teammates. I mean, he seems to be always on the mound for kind of clinching games. There was that very memorable one in Houston in 2022. There was the one that got him into the playoffs last year. And this one, which won the division. Ruben, I love your point about guys coming in from different organizations and melding into one. I think there's a lot of reasons that they have melded into one. It's a great place to play. The owner's a good guy to play for. People busted for him. And I think that was illustrated how they feel about him in the post-game celebration, John Middleton I'm talking about. Yeah. But, one guy who did come from another organization as well is the manager. I mean, this guy was a Yankee. He was there for 28 years. I mean, he practically had navy blue pinstripes tattooed on his torso. And, he came here and, he served the organization. He served Gabe Kapler loyally. Diligently, and then he served Joe Girardi, and then out of the blue he gets his chance, and I think he's been great, and I think his number one strength is bringing people together, and he does that with this authentic personality and this humility that I think guys warm up to, and I think it's a galvanizing force, the personality of Rob Thomson. So there's one other guy that came, and Harper's been big on that. He brings people in, gives them the big bear hug. Schwarber's been great at it. Real Muto is a first class teammate. Wheeler, strong, silent, but a great teammate. But it is rare to see guys coming in from all different parts and becoming a one like this team has. I think that's one of the real endearing qualities of this team, that they all like each other and they all pull together.
They did a really good job of picking good guys or getting good guys, and I don't know if that's just luck or they did a lot of research. I know they did a lot of research on Kyle Schwarber when they brought him in, and I know Dave Dombrowski tries to figure out good clubhouse guys, but they've done a really good job in bringing in good people that aren't me first only, guys that are going to cause problems, and you're seeing that.
Yeah, I got to give a little love to Klentak too, because he's not getting, he left here sort of unceremoniously, and obviously they brought in a guy to take him over to the next level, but just like everybody has a hand in this thing. He did sign Wheeler. He's traded for Real Muto.
Sanchez.
He brought Sanchez in, and so he should get some love for that. And again, you don't really know how these things will work out later on, but there's some things that happened during his tenure that, I think he drafted Bowman and Stott as well, right? I wasn't involved in those guys.
And he brought in Rob Thomson. Rob Thomson was in limbo with the Yankees. He was waiting to be interviewed for that manager's job that ultimately went to Aaron Boone. He was in limbo. They talked him quietly into driving down to Philly and talking about becoming the bench coach for Gabe Kapler. He spent the day with them. He really liked what he saw. The Yankees were spinning their wheels, and he was driving home to to Toronto area, and Clintac called him on the phone and offered him a 3-year deal. And he said, "We want you to come to Philadelphia. I'm offering you a 3-year deal. I understand you're still talking to the Yankees. If you get the Yankees managerial job, we will rip up the contract. But I want you to know there's a 3-year deal waiting for you to come to Philadelphia and be our bench coach." So, I mean, that's another one. There's that old saying about there's no limit to what a man can accomplish as long as he doesn't mind who gets the credit. So this team can do special things and, spread the credit because a lot of people have had a hand on it. Ruben Amaro Jr. drafted a guy named Aaron Nola,
Yeah, I mean, listen, and these things don't happen in a vacuum. They happen. Almost every organization has this happen, unless you're the Atlanta Braves and you were John Schuerholz and for 14 years or whatever the case may be. You and Bobby Cox were putting this thing together for 14 years. But the reality of it is that there's a lot of different pieces. Ed Wade had a lot to do with the 2008 season, and Pat Gillick acknowledged that, and also had a lot to do with the fact that we were where we were in 9, 10, and 11 when I was in the GM seat. So it does take a village. The one thing that I will say about this team, they have a lot of humility for being such a you think about the superstars on this team: Kyle Schwarber, Trey Turner, Harper, Real Muto, Wheeler, Nola. They're sort of not, I don't know, stars. I don't know if they're superstars. I guess you could have Harper separate him a little bit just because he's a perennial MVP candidate. But these are stars in the game, and they are really humble. For the most part, they're really super humble. You don't see them flipping bats and freaking out. I mean, they have pure joy. They're happy when they have success, and that's cool. But there's not a lot of showboating. There's not a lot of. I think that's part of Rob Thompson's overall demeanor. I mean, he's a very humble guy in himself, and I think the personality of the team is taken on by who he is in a lot of ways. But this is a really humble group. You don't see guys, stomping off and freaking out every time they do something well. I mean, they respect the game. Not that they shouldn't have fun. I'm the bat flips and the posing and all that stuff. I know that's fun for the fans. I think in some regards it's a little staged and excessive. But these guys enjoy themselves without disrespecting the game, and I think that's a really, really cool thing about this ball club.
And we will be right back.
I love a great deal, but I'm not going to run sprints in the outfield just to save a few bucks. It has to be easy. No hoops, no BS. With Mint Mobile, it really is that easy to get wireless for $15 a month with the purchase of a 3-month plan. Purchase and activation is super easy too.
To get started, go to mintmobile.com/territory. All plans come with high-speed data and unlimited talk and text delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. You can use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and bring your phone number.
To get this new customer offer and your new 3-month premium wireless plan for just $15 a month, go to mintmobile.com/territory. That's mintmobile.com/territory. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/territory.
$45 upfront payment required, equivalent to $15 a month. New customers on their first 3-month plan only. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Additional taxes, fees, and restrictions apply. See Mint Mobile for details.
And we are back. And Ruben, following up on that point about those guys being humble, I mean, just how about just how approachable they are and how just good people they are. You would never know their status in the game, I guess, just by the way they treat people, from teammates at their level to the people way below them, like little old beat writers who come in and then ask them annoying questions after losses about why they struck out 15 times. There's never any blatant signs of disrespect or whatever. So they do have a good group. Last night a couple things else jumped out at me. I made a point to go over to Tanner Banks and ask him what he thinks about being in this clubhouse, because think about that. Think about how much his life has changed. If the Phillies had not traded Gregory Soto, I can't remember which one went first, I guess, but if the Gregory Soto deal had not happened, they don't go out and get Tanner Banks. And Tanner Banks right now is playing on a White Sox team that is going to lose their 121st game as early as tonight, I guess, to be the most losses of any team in baseball history. And I said, can you imagine he just said, I am so grateful to be here and to be in this room with these guys and to be for spraying champagne. And I thought that was really neat. And Carlos Estevez as well.
I was going to say the same thing.
Yeah, Carlos Estevez as well. I mean, he could have been playing on a dead dog Angels team right now, but the Phillies went out and they gave up a lot, but they got him. And he was on the mound for the 9th inning last night when they go out and clinch the division title. And he's like, wow, it was just amazing that they wanted me to be in that moment. And I am so appreciative. And man, am I, he hasn't been to the playoffs in like 6-7 years. He's like, man, I cannot wait to get back in there. He's pitched a third of an inning in the playoffs in his entire career with the Rockies, like in 2017. So 2 guys in the bullpen who are probably going, can you believe where we are now and where we were 2-3 months ago? Unbelievable. That was cool to talk to those guys.
I'm glad you brought up the bullpen because Hoffman and Strahm were spectacular. Estevez locking it down. The contributions, we focus a lot on the trade deadline and what guys do coming out of the trade deadline. But Estevez, Banks, and even Hayes, they're going to be measured in the month of October. If they have a great October, let this team win ball games. That's where the measurement of the trade deadline comes in. They have their chance to really put their thumbprint on this team. Not so much what they did the final, 2 months of the season, but now in October, the month that will define the 2004 Phillies.
Yeah, and getting into some of the nuts and bolts of this thing too, as far as the bullpen is concerned, where the way Rob Thomson utilized these guys. So you notice that Hoffman came into the game in the middle against the guys in the middle of the lineup, the 2, 3, 4 guys, or 3, 4, 5, I think it was, right in the middle. And I think that's what you're going to see in the playoffs. I think that he probably trusts Hoffman to get the really tough outs late in the game. And then he will probably then use Estevez, for the 7, 8, 9, middle part, late part of the lineup, that sort of thing. And I think that's what you're going to see in the playoffs. And people are probably saying, well, why doesn't Hoffman close? Why is it? Well, you got to get to the closer. Mm-hmm. You got to get the outs before the closer too. And I don't have any problem with the way he sort of done a really nice job of that. And that's where I sort of measure who and how, Rob Thomson manipulates that bullpen.
So you think Hoffman is kind of the kill shot?
I think he's the kill shot. Yeah. I think he and Strahm at the end are the kill shots. And then I think the other guys are cleaning it up.
So Estevez not necessarily in the 9th?
Not necessarily. Not necessarily. I think that Estevez, even though he's used to being in the 9th, he may, in a game that's maybe a 3-run game or something, and you've got the softer part of the lineup, he might come in the 8th.
Todd, do you think Rob tipped his hand a little bit by how he intends to utilize Johan Rojas offensively?
What do you mean?
The 2 sacrifice bunts.
Oh, the bunting. And he was asked about that last night.
And a hit and run. And I don't know if it was a designed hit and run, but it was a hit and run.
It was a hit and run. So and he makes a great catch.
That's what makes he made a great catch. He made a great catch, but that's where his value is, and that's how you keep his bat in the lineup if you want to keep his glove in center field. So that's what
he has to do.
So
what a game! Contact, 2 bunts, big catch.
Yeah,
I'll also say this. Let me just say it. And I don't want to be Mr. Homer guy because I want to throw some reality out there. So people talk about wanting Kyle Schwarber in the middle of the lineup to drive in runs. Kyle Schwarber's got a lot of strikeout in him. So Johan Rojas bunts the guy over, man on second and third, and then Kyle punches out. And, in those situations, he has some trouble with those situations because I don't know if he changes his mindset when he's at the plate. I'm not sure what the story is, But I mean, there's a reason why Kyle Schwarber is in a one hole. He creates, I mean, his ability to do what he does at the top of the lineup is a really, really important thing. He got 100 RBIs at the top of the lineup. Nobody does that. Very, very few guys do
2
that.
years in a row.
And for the first time in God knows how long that somebody did. I think the last time somebody did was Ryan Howard. So yeah. So I mean, that's the reason why he's in the one hole. He does drive runs in, but it's usually himself he's driving it. And with a homer.
He actually leads off the game again with, he was out stretching, but that was a bolt to right field. I thought it kind of electrified the dugout a little bit. It ended in disappointment at second base, but then later in the game hits a big home run. You cannot dispute the way he gives this team early energy. He hit 14 leadoff home runs. They won the ball game 13 times.
Right. They love, and those guys all love him hitting leadoff too. I mean, they do. They love him in that spot, and he loves himself in that spot, and that matters.
It sure does. He does a nice job of it. He's scoring runs and he's driving in runs. It's about run production. Yeah. And he's doing the job there. And I originally thought that they would flip-flop, he and Turner. But now that I watch Turner hit, he's not a guy who's ever going to walk. He just doesn't walk. He's a hacker. I mean, he's swinging. And when he's swinging well, he's unbelievable. But there are times when he does, slump off. But I mean, he gets hits. He gets on by getting hits. Kyle Schwarber gets on by walking and hitting homers.
Right.
And you mentioned he likes it in the leadoff hole. I think that's part of a manager's job is to read his players. If there's a spot where a player feels really good about himself, you kind of want to get him there, because if a guy feels good about himself, you're going to get the best out of him. It's like the old saying, contented cows give sweeter milk. That's knowing your personnel. I mean, you don't put a guy there who can't do the job. He just does the job. He does the job differently. Todd, I wanted to ask you, before the game, so Rob's talking, their goal, right? Division championship. So check. Next goal is that bye for first round bye. They have prioritized for the rest. Some teams want to keep going. They want to get some rest. And then it was interesting. He's not going to go all out for the best record in baseball. He's going to try to win it, but he said he offered that I'm not going to put anybody's health in jeopardy, meaning he's not going to bring the whip out Saturday and ride Zach Wheeler so they can get the down the stretch they come so they can get that best record. He's kind of prioritizing the bye over the best record. They'd like to get it. But what were your kind of thoughts on that? Were you a little surprised to hear that?
I guess I was a little surprised to hear it, because usually he keeps things pretty close to the vest in terms of that. But that was interesting. We want the bye period. I don't care if it's the ones. Sure, he wants the 1 seed. They want to finish with the best record in baseball, so they have home field advantage, Game 6, Game 7 of the World Series, if it comes down to that. But this is a guy who has talked about the value, the importance of his players' health since the beginning of the season. I don't think a day goes by when he doesn't talk about somebody's health. There's been moves that he's made this season that he's gotten killed for because he was thinking about his players' health. Remember the game that Harper and Real Muto didn't pinch hit on that Sunday afternoon. I can't remember the opponent now, but so he basically said, I'd love the number 1 seed, but I'm not going to kill my guys for it. That tells me Zach Wheeler on Saturday, Aaron Nola on Sunday. Don't expect them, if they're cruising, to go 8 innings. They're probably going to dial them back, maybe taper them off an inning. That also tells me, and Bryce Harper hinted at this too, Jimmy, you were there last night for it. He said, we'll see what the lineup looks like the rest of the week. And because he needs some rest, other guys need some rest. I think there are a lot of guys that are banged up, and they would rather go into the postseason healthy than grind through to get a hypothetical Game 6 against the Dodgers at Citizens Bank Park versus Game 6 at Dodger Stadium. And oh, by the way, I think the Phillies beat the Dodgers in the postseason, in 08 and 09 in the NLCS when they did not have home field advantage. So it can be done. You can beat a team without having home field advantage. So Rob Thomson, again, prioritizing that. But it was interesting that he just came out and said it, that he's going to prioritize that health going in.
Yep. It was very interesting. He's not going to put his players' health in jeopardy. So,
yeah,
and part of me likes that because, how far they go is still going to be determined by them. The support in the stands is great, and they acknowledge that. But they're the ones who are going to go out and catch the ball, make great defensive plays, make the routine plays, not give extra bases, throw strikes, throw quality strikes, not chase, have big innings. They're the ones that have to play good baseball.
To me, the bigger question is, how are they going to stay sharp next week so they don't go into that NLDS? It's game 1 is on October 5th. So they have a good five days of not playing baseball. How do they go into game 1 of the NLDS and not pull a Braves, use an excuse that the layoff just, oh my gosh, our timing's off? And, Ken Rosenthal said that on the broadcast that earlier this season, Brian Snicker mentioned the layoff really killed him, and the Phillies took offense at that. So that's going to be a big storyline, I think, next week is how do these guys stay sharp so they go in guns a-blazing and take care of business.
How do they stay sharp, Ruben?
I think that they're going to do some simulated stuff. I think that I don't know that they'll have some guys. I'm not sure if they're going to have live BPs or anything like that, but they might bring some guys to do some live BPs, either from Clearwater or from Lehigh Valley, whatever the case may be. They may be doing some of that, but you also got to be careful about that as well. So, I don't know. I think they have some plans. I do know that they've been thinking about a lot. I know that Rob Thomson thinks about all this stuff all the time. Do they pipe in sound? Do they, when they're during their workouts? There's a lot of things to think about. Someone mentioned that to him one time, and Rob was like lit up. That might not be a bad idea. I don't know. These guys have been through it a little bit. They understand it. I think they understand their bodies. They do have to figure out a way to be sharp because live action. There's only one way to simulate live action, and it's by having live action.
Right.
And so there is some element of that. But that said, they can use a couple of days off. It's okay. I think that overrides. The fact that there are some guys that are banged up a little bit, I think it sort of overrides the fact that, they have to be ready. So
come out, get an early lead and look at that rest as, hey, you guys earned this. This is your reward. And then you come back and you get in the starting blocks again and you come firing out of the starting blocks and win a sprint. They can do it.
Anything else jump out to you guys before we wrap this up on the celebration last night?
No, just the whole family atmosphere and cheers to the organization because they had a goal. They've set several goals. They've hit a couple of them, and hopefully for the Phillies fans, they're on the way to a couple more.
Yeah, and they played a really good ball game on top of it all. And Aaron Nola, the clinch whisperer. Now he's got the most wins. He passed Cole Hamels. I think that was his 57th win at Citizens Bank Park. So he has the most wins ever at Citizens Bank Park. But you'd never know it. He would never strut, and he's a very, very humble guy. And did a good job, man.
We will be back later this week. Seems like a good opportunity. If anybody wants to fire off any questions, we'll send something out on X and Instagram. And if you are watching us, throw a comment in the comment section on YouTube, and we'll answer all of your Phillies postseason questions. I've been asking for life questions, but again, no life questions. No one wants our personal advice.
They should definitely need it from YouTube.
Yeah. So thanks, everyone. That was fun. Wrapping it up, and we will be back later this week.
Smell you later, boys.
Smell you, Jim.
This is the Phillies Show. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the Phillies Show wherever you get your podcasts. You can also watch us on our YouTube channel. If you like what we do, give us a review. Tell a friend. Catch Ruben, Jim, and me on Phillies Nation TV, presented by Valley Forge Tourism. New episodes air an hour before every Saturday Phillies game on NBC Sports Philadelphia. Replays air throughout the week and on PhilliesNation.com. Get more of Ruben's analysis during, before, and after Phillies games on NBC Sports Philadelphia, on the Sports Radio 94 WIP Morning Show and MLB Network. Read Jim at the All City Network at allphly.com. Find more of me at MLB.com, the Phillies Beat newsletter, and occasionally on MLB Network.